Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. This is the Retiree, Episode 9, Israel. I failed to find my first post-retirement relationship, no matter what I did. Apps, setups, dancing, even serendipity. So I decided that maybe the world is telling me that, at least for now, I needed to turn my attention elsewhere. So I thought, what's the most different thing I could do? I ended up deciding to go solo to Israel. Especially in the New York Times and CNN's prominent photos, they tend to make Israel seem like a monster, destroying everything in its path and beyond. I wondered how that could be, a people that has contributed so much that's peaceable, women's rights, it's the only democracy in the Middle East, plus GPS that keeps me from getting lost, and the cardiac stents my doctor says I may need. So I thought it would be instructive and fun to go to Israel and talk unfiltered with Israeli and Palestinian people. Of course, the trip getting there was a pain, but I'll spare telling you about all that. While I did hear interesting points on both sides, what was new for me were perspectives I hadn't seen much in the Times or CNN. One conversation was particularly instructive. In a cafe in Tel Aviv, I saw a woman reading a sociology textbook. She was about 50, so I assumed she was a professor, and she was. After a bit of small talk, I asked, "Well, is there anything I should know about the Palestinian-Israeli conflict that might not appear in print?" Well, that got her going right away. She said, a lot. For example, imagine that a nuclear Mexico and its terrorist proxies were committed to destroying the U.S., quote, from the river to the sea. And Mexico would then send thousands of rockets and terrorists into the U.S., deliberately targeting civilians, including on buses, weddings, even a music festival for peace. Wouldn't you set up checkpoints to search for bombs? Wouldn't you refuse to give land to Mexico, especially land that would be a good staging area for more bombing like the Golan Heights, which Israel annexed only after it was attacked in the '67 war? Wouldn't you preempt a nuclear attack? Well, that's what Israel's doing. I asked, but we hear that Israel is a colonizer and that Arabs are merely fighting to get their land back. She laughed. Forget that Jews were in, quote, Palestine since antiquity. And forgive me, I'm a professor, so as I talk, I'm going to pull out sources on my laptop so you can see. By the way, the text version of this, which I'll have a link to below, will have all of those links. That's those citations. Thousands of Jews facing oppression settled in Palestine in the late 19th and early 20th century, where only a small number of Arabs lived, many nomadic. Arabs were attracted to the area because the Jews had figured out how to quell the malaria epidemic and had developed irrigation to, quote, make deserts bloom, growing food, for example, groves of oranges. In 1917, the British issued the Balfour Declaration. It's a statement of support that Palestine should be a Jewish homeland. In 1948, the United Nations, citing the need for a Jewish safe haven from anti-Semitism, culminating in the Holocaust, called for a two-state solution, an independent Israel and an independent Palestine, side by side. The Jews agreed, but that very day, the Arabs started bombing Israel. In 1992, the Israelis agreed to the Oslo Accords, which gave land to the Palestinians in exchange for recognizing the State of Israel, but the violence continued, indeed accelerated. In 2005, in the face of continued Arab bombings, Israel unilaterally gave the Palestinians 96% of what they asked for on the West Bank and 100% of Gaza in exchange for peace. The Arabs signed, but violated the peace by continuing to fire thousands of rockets at the Israelis and doing little to quell the terrorism. That, of course, culminated on October 7th, 2023, when Hamas terrorists slaughtered 1,200 Israeli civilians, including babies, and gang-raped, killed, and even sexually mutilated cadavers. They also took 250 hostages. Of course, Israel retaliated in a big way to preempt further attacks. Meanwhile, Hamas, the government elected by the Palestinian people, continues to vow, by charter, to destroy the Jews, quote, from the river to the sea. And Hamas continues to enjoy strong support from the Palestinian electorate. And now, with the International Atomic Energy Agency citing Iran as violating its commitment to develop nuclear power only for peaceful uses, and Iran responded by increasing its nuclear enrichment, Israel is trying to destroy Iran's nuclear capability. CNN and the Times should be glad, but seem to more often continue to do Hamas's bidding. For example, showing pictures of wailing Palestinians. Some images and videos sent by Hamas are deliberate disinformation. For example, staged using what are called crisis actors, or AI-generated. Fact, the Israelis try to avoid civilians, even warning them to leave the area next to a Hamas arsenal, while Iran deliberately targets civilians. In contrast, Hamas hides its terrorist and arsenal under schools, mosques, and hospitals, leaving innocent Palestinians to be human shields in violation of international law, and perhaps to die when Israel attacks, despite Israel warning civilians to leave. Israel's retaliations have the lowest civilian-to-combatant ratio in history. I have not seen that in the New York Times and CNN, maybe because it's buried on inside pages, unlike the aforementioned front page above the fold pictures. I asked, look, the whole world is against Israel, even seeming to prefer burqa-centered Arab countries that kill LGBTs. Even many American LGBTs support them over Israel. How can the whole world be wrong? She said, I'm a professor of sociology, and even here in Israel, we acknowledge that a priority among liberals is intersectionality, the banding together of, quote, oppressed groups such as Palestinians. That ends up creating strange bedfellows, such as gays supporting Muslim causes, even if Muslim governments and clerics would kill them. The double standard is telling. The left says nothing about that, nor even feminist issues like Muslim countries routinely performing clitorectomies and forcing women to wear burqas and hijabs, yet assail and boycott Israel, the Middle East's main champion for civil rights. To wit, 21% of Israelis are Arabs, citizens with all rights, serving in all jobs, including in the Knesset, the Senate, and the Supreme Court. Genocide? That's the deliberate attempt to destroy a people. The Arab population in Israel has, in the 21st century, doubled. I ask, so what's the answer? We cannot expect the 2,000-year enmity between Arabs and Jews to go away, especially when tiny Israel is surrounded. Traditionalists laugh, but I believe the only answer is what I call New Israel. Instead of the U.S. supplying billions in military aid to Israel, it should cede an Israel-sized sliver of the massive forest land just north of New York City, which is home to 3 times as many Jews as Jerusalem, and encourage and perhaps subsidize Israeli Jews who are willing to take the next step in the never-ending Jewish diaspora, emigrate to New Israel. I believe that only New Israel will stop the killing. I left Israel with plenty to think about. Notwithstanding the professor showing me the links I've shown you, she doubtless is presenting her perspective. I'm sure that a pro-Palestinian person could show me links too. But I welcomed hearing it because I had mainly been getting the other side. A short trip like that is one thing, but what next for my life? On the plane I had a dream. I will tell you about it in the next episode. In any event, that's the Retiree Episode 9, Israel. As usual, I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. And certainly would welcome you taking a look at any of my 35 books. Perhaps most relevant is Senior Stories, but all 35 are on Amazon. In any event, I thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.